We have absolutely huge news today out of Washington, D.C., right? And then this tweet honestly says it all. In a jaw-dropping announcement, President Trump disclosed that George Soros and Reid Hoffman are funding Antifa and left-wing violence against ICE. Trump vows to launch a RICO investigation into George Soros. And I'll play this clip for you in just a second, but if you know anything about how these left-wing groups operate, you'll know there is a very real shot they find a way to get him on this. The reality is, if you go to one of these protests, these people are not there organically. They are obviously, for the most part, with some exceptions, being paid, right? There has to be huge amount of money behind stuff like the No Kings protests, by a lot of these Palestinian protests. I remember we had, this was a couple years ago now, but when I was on campus, there was actually a group of Palestinian protesters that came to our campus, and I didn't recognize any of them. And I went to a small school, right? So I should have recognized at least somebody there. A lot of this is completely astroturfed, completely fake stuff. Anyway, here's President Trump. If you're new here, by the way, before I get to this, subscribe to help push this video in front of more patriots. But yeah, every click, by the way, really does help. But yeah, here's President Trump announcing this. Hopefully we see this. I think there's a very real shot we do, but I'll of course keep you updated. Here you go. Here's President Trump.
They're paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it every night. And this has gone on for years. They just burned the place down. And, you know, the shop owners, most of them have left. But the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts in because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
That's right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, but we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories. Can you name a couple?
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead. Let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros. What names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems.
I would be absolutely astounded if you cannot draw a straight line, not like some bent curvy line. No, if you can't draw a straight line from George Soros to Antifa. I would absolutely be sure that there is one or two steps in between literally George Soros's pocket and Antifa. The reality is these anti-American groups do have a lot of funding, right? And the Antifa people don't have a lot of money. So it has to be coming, logically speaking, from somewhere. It just does. It costs a lot of money to bus protesters in from another state. It costs a lot of money to print up all these signs. It costs a lot of money to hire, 1,000 organizers to do this stuff and pay the people that organize the organizers, right? That costs a ton of money and requires a ton of capital, right? It just does. And that has to come from somewhere. And there's not many people rich enough to just drop, $1 million here, $5 million there, $10 million here on protests. There just aren't that many people in America that can do that, right? Elon could, of course, but he's on our side, so he won't. The point of all this is quite simple. I think there is a very, very realistic shot that we actually do get, a Reid Hoffman, a George Soros on a charge like this. because they probably have actually done things that are criminal as it relates to these sorts of crimes, right? RICO crimes as it relates to these protesters and these violent protesting organizations. I don't know. Time will tell. This is an absolutely incredible move by President Trump opening this investigation. I completely support it. If you are new here, please do subscribe down below. Every subscription helps push this video. I really appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.